So with all the leaks for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out and all of the hype building at tremendous speeds for the game, I thought I'd give you all my predictions on what I think we might see in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now before we jump into this video, quick reminder that this is my own opinion and that yours may differ from everything I'm about to say in this video, and if it does, then you should leave your own predictions and theories in the comment section down below, and together we might just predict what Xenoblade Chronicles 3 might just be like to play. But with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. And I want to start off this video talking about the characters, specifically the party members that we will be playing through this game with, as I think there's going to be a whole new cast of characters for us to fall in love with all over again. Now it can be a little bit difficult to guess the actual other party members other than the MC, because looking at the older Xenoblade games, there's so much variety. But what I can pretty much say for certain is there are some stereotypes which seem to always return. There's the clumsy and comedy relief male character of the party group, there's the adorable and hilarious Nopon characters that we get to go along with, and of course we can't forget about this specific category, the female rejected. But I'm sure what you're all more interested in is what the main character's going to be like. And my thoughts on the matter is that he's going to be a little bit different from Rex and Shulk. Rex and Shulk don't really have much in common to begin with, and that's why I think this MC is also going to be quite different. Now this actually all stems to me from their age. Rex is 15, Shulk is 18, and I think our main character will be around 21. This is simply so that Monolith Soft has a wide variety of main characters to utilise and use in the future, and it'll also give us a game where the main character goes through a lot of different development than what we've experienced beforehand. A lot of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is about Rex growing up and maturing, as technically through the entire game he's just a kid who's been forced into and tasked with literally saving the entire world. And so we got to see those struggles and emotions that Rex encounters and how he overcomes them due to the age that he is. And the same is true for Shulk, but of course the more 18-year-old problems. And so I think this new MC will be a lot more carefree than previously with Shulk and Rex. Of course he'll still have the whole fight for my friends mentality, but due to his age he'll have other problems and issues to encounter, such as being overconfident in himself and other things, which will be a blast to experience from the player's perspective. But enough about the MC, let's talk about the world that this character is going to have grown up in. And once again, I think it's going to be a completely separate world and universe, or parallel universe, or whatever you want to call it, from the Xenoblade series, which will of course tie in to the other two games. However, with our character being a little bit older, I think the world's going to be a bit more advanced than what we've seen previously in Xenoblade. Now of course Xenoblade games are fantasy games, the world's going to be completely made up, so when I say a bit more advanced and a little bit more realistic, I don't mean we're going to have guns, cars, aeroplanes, tanks and all that sort of stuff, although it's very likely that mechs will be in the game because they've technically been in every other Xenoblade game. But all I'm saying is it's not going to be super futuristic, almost like it's steampunk, but not using steampunk, more than likely running everything on ether. And I think it'd give us some really nice variety in the areas. Because it's still a fantasy game, you can still have the breathtakingly beautiful areas like Gower Plain and Gormott, but in contrast to these spectacular areas, you can have a lot more urban and modernised cities with higher quality buildings and potentially alternate methods of transportation. And the combination of a Xenoblade game with the more advanced technological advancements would give us some really nice diversity in the areas and would provide all players with a brand new experience whilst also giving them the experience that they love and cherish. Of course though, I don't think every area is going to be all sunshine and rainbows, as a lot of them are likely going to be covered in fog, which brings us on nicely to the villains of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And it shouldn't be much of a surprise to most people that the Fog King's probably going to have a very prevalent part on the story and the world of this game. Now for what the Fog King actually is and how the Fog King came to be, we won't know until the game comes out. And I could easily make a 10-minute video just discussing that point on its own, but we'll save that for another time. For one thing, I think the Fog King will more play a role of like an ancient sealed creature that was released from its seal and is now causing the whole world to go into chaos due to it being able to basically possess living things, which can be pretty dangerous when considering that Titans are probably going to be in this game. game as well. Titans are also another staple of Xenoblade, being the landmass that you've walked around for the last couple of games. Whether or not they're going to be the landmass in this game, I don't know, which is why I've not mentioned it beforehand, but they will more than likely feature in some way. However, if the Fog King is able to possess Titans, and thus launch them as an attack on the world, that would definitely cause a few problems for the people living there. But the Fog King isn't going to be the only enemy, oh no, because I think the main enemy, and potentially the final boss, will be a returning character from Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Meyneth. You see, Klaus and Zanza are of course the same person, but they were separated in half via the experiment. And of course we've seen Meyneth that was present in both locations, but there's nothing to say that Meyneth couldn't have been separated as well. And it's just my opinion, but it also looks like the experiment tore their souls in half as well, which is why Klaus is so drastically different to Zanza, because Zanza is half of his soul and primarily the negative emotions that are within him, which is why I think the negative side of Meyneth, which is clearly not in the Lady Meyneth we know from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, is in this new world, and is in a similar state to Klaus. And I'm sure there are some of you now typing in the comments, debunking this theory and explaining to me exactly why this isn't possible. But remember, this is just my opinion, and I'll be more than happy to explain this theory in further detail if it's something that all of you are interested in. Which finally leads us to the story elements of what the game's going to be like. Now, I think that this main character will be linked in some ways to Rex and Shulk, and everything that will occur through Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is occurring alongside those other games. I don't think Monolith Soft will also want to revisit the idea of future sight and vision, as they've used that concept of seeing the future for the last two games, and so I think they might want to try something a little bit different. And so I think our character will be able to see the other characters and the other previous party members progressing through their own stories. This would likely mean that his Monado or Aegis or whatever special sword he'll discover and find will more than likely have some sort of ability to be able to move within the alternate dimensions. Of course, just seeing them is the beginning level of this power, and as you progress through the game it'll get stronger and stronger as you learn to control it, which sets us up for the future games where you might be jumping between universes. I also think that by the end of this game we'll have confirmation of if the games are actually all going to link, as I do think using this power the MC will connect all three of the universes and worlds together, and we'll actually get interactions, maybe only very shortly, between Shulk, Rex and this new MC, which will more than likely mean that this final MC will be the catalyst for all of the future Xenoblade Chronicles games, and where Monolith Soft will want to take the series into the future. But that's all for my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 prediction video. If you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on about Xenoblade theories, then consider hitting that red subscription button so you can listen to me ramble more about other topics about Xenoblade, as well as to keep up to date with all of the latest Xenoblade Chronicles 3 news. I thank you all for watching and for all the support that you've given me, and until next time guys, peace.